Aloha, Rich Halverson here. This is ITS227, and I'm going to continue on in Chapter 7 with 7.4 event-driven programming. We have been talking about DOM modification and how in event-driven programming action begins with the user doing something on the screen. So an event is an action caused by a user that the web browser responds to. For example, a mouse movement or a key press, or even a network response from the web server. So with event-driven programming, code runs in response to an event, and that code is called an event handler or an event listener, or it can even be called a callback function or whatever. We'll learn more about that later. So go through this and make sure you understand the actions. These are common events, and these are just what they're called. So these are the common events that we write handlers for. And we have to register we write the handler, and then we have to register them. We have to connect them up to the actual element that we want. You do an action on this element, and this event handler is invoked. We have to connect that up, and you can either connect it up directly where the element is on the screen, which is not a good idea, because you shouldn't mix content with functionality. Or you can say that the on-click handler for this thing is this handler. Trouble with that is you can only do one per event, or you can use this add listener function where you can add as many event handlers to as many different things that you can do to that element, and as many of them for even a single action. So anyway, so those are the three ways, and we're always going to use the third one because it's the best one. So let's go through this. And this is where you put. This is how you the different. Where are the different parameters and arguments go and everything? Oh, this is event capturing at target or bubbling phases. Okay, this all has to do with the third parameter of the event listener. Okay, I think. And what it is as the browser, as the code inside the browser goes through and looks at these things to find out if there's any event handlers connected to them, it travels down through all of the nodes of the tree, of the DOM tree, travels through all the nodes, and it identifies those that have event handlers connected to whichever events, and then it makes its way back up the tree again. It goes down a particular way, and then it goes back up. Just in the back up the same way it came down. And the event handler can either be executed on the way down or executed on the way back up again. Okay, so if the order counts, then you got to use that third parameter when you're connecting the event handler to the event. Okay, that's all. And so the default, of course, is on the way back up. But if you really need it to happen before something else happens, then you set that third parameter to true, the third argument to true, and it will be executed on the way down. So that's what this is all about. And also, you can stop propagation. So on the way down, you might, you're visiting and you're executing event handlers that, should the event occur for that particular element. But then something could happen which you want to stop propagation so the bubbling back up again doesn't happen, and for whatever reason. And so since most of the stuff is executed, while it's bubbling up, then you are able to stop propagation for whatever reason. All right, so let's do the challenge activity here. All right, register the count characters event handler to handle focus changes for the text area tag. Okay, so here's the text area tag, and focus changes are, like if it comes into focus or leaves focus, then you want to display out the number of characters in the text area. So that's going to start this up. That's going to be in the JavaScript side. So here we have this, we're identifying this text area element that we want to identify. It's username, and we're calling it that. And so we're going to have a text area. We're going to assign an event handler to this. So I'm going to copy this. This is what I'm going to assign an event handler to this. And so that's add event listener. See an event listener. And it's going to be the focus changes. And when I do the focus changes, I want to execute this function. What this function does is it writes into this element, which is this element, this P element, which defaults to 0. It writes in there what the new length is of the target, the target value, and the target is this thing, and the value is the value. The value is the value field, the value property of the target. So anyway, so we want to execute count characters, and I don't need to put the parentheses. So I think this is right. Oh, you know why? I put an extra space in. It couldn't find focus space. No, there is no focus space event. There's a focus event. All right. What's next? Number 2, write and register. So I got to write an event handler, and then I got to register the event handler. And on the event handler is just going to say event handled on the console. But this happens when the H2 element receives a mouse move event. Okay, so when H2 here, there's only one H2, so I think I might use that. Oh, look, we're already doing that's what I wanted to do. And so what I want is to when the H2 element I want to add a listener to the H2 element, don't I? Add event listener, where if there is a mouse move, then I want to execute this particular unwritten event handler, whatever I haven't written that yet. I got to write that, and I should write it so it sees it before I try to use it. Okay, so let's write it up here. Function event handler, that's what I called it. And there's this event value thinger that comes in there, so I can get all the info about what the element is that caused this event. And then I want to just output on the console event handling. And I want to close the function definition block. All right, let's see if this, so that's that. And so that this registers it and this writes it. Okay, let's see if this is correct. What did I do wrong? Oh, no, that's not right. That's add event listener, H2 element. I'm spelling handler wrong here, so let's try again. And I want to copy this thing, and I want to paste it here. So now I know they're spelled correctly. And I got it. Okay, what's next? Write and register an event handler that changes the font size of the P tag to 36 on mouse out. All right, so this is the P element. And so first I'm going to write the event handler, I think. Function event handler of the event. And what I want to do is this thing that caused me to execute, which was event target, that thing. This happens to be this, but I get that information through this that way. I want to change the font size. I guess I would do a style font size. Equals 36. Do I put it in quotes? 36. I'm just going to say 36. Semicolon. Close it. And then I have to register it. P element dot add event listener. And it is the mouse out event, and it is the event handler. And it is the mouse out event, methinks. All right, how does this do me? Oh, that's nice. Okay. All right, what's timers? Let's move on here. Let's see what we have for this one. Timers. Let's see, how many more are there? There are in 7, which I didn't do earlier. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now I'm doing timers. Let's do some timers. So with timers, you can set a timer, and then when the timer is done, you can make a program execute. You can make a function execute. And you can set the timers to millisecond granularity. Okay, so so here, for example, you might set a timer when at after 300 milliseconds, 3,000 milliseconds, which is 3 seconds, execute this function. And this function is this. And what this function does is it makes the style of the special ID special, which would be this whole div. It displays it. See, otherwise it's not displayed, it's hidden, and then it pops up anyway. So that's that. So make sure you understand that. Set timeouts, and you don't put the parentheses, because even though it's a function, And also it's in milliseconds, not seconds. So it'd be this one. All right, so make sure you go through all these intervals. Okay, this is a different way. This is for repeating, and here you can set an interval. Well, you can go through this. Here, once we start moving, we actually set a timer. We set an interval timer, and after 10 seconds, or maybe it's 10 milliseconds, execute the move ball. And this is the move ball. It just moves it to the right 5 pixels. So it must be 10 milliseconds. And you can, and so, and every 10 milliseconds it executes move ball, which, keeps on moving to the right. And you can watch that. And so make sure you understand all this. Let's go to the timer. Let's go to this. Get through these challenges here. And so the first one is write a set timeout function that reveals the answer after 2.5 seconds. So the answer is going to be this P class answer. It's going to be the element that is of class answer. And so I'm going to do oh, that's already this. And so when the answer is revealed, you want this will happen, which will display up the answer in block form in the browser. And so I guess what I would want these parameters to be, the parameters of set timeout, is what I'm talking about here. The parameters of set timeout, as you recall, are this, something that looks like that. Something that looks like this. Can I copy this? I'll take it. Copy that. So it looks like this. Except for I already have the set timeout. I don't need that. And I already have this part in there. So the method is going to be reveal answer. And 2.5 seconds is 2,500 milliseconds, yeah? All right, what's next? Write a set interval function that updates the progress every 100 milliseconds. So that would be, let's go over to the JavaScript. Ooh, wow, they give us a lot of code here. Okay, so we have, this is the progress indicator. That's where we're going to write. We've got a couple variables here. This starts it up. This registers the event listener on the start button. When you click the start button, it executes the start download method, which is this method. Oh, look, here we have the event listener referencing the start download function before the start download function is defined. So I guess it doesn't matter if it's up above or below. And what start download does is it sets an interval timer that's right here. And what that interval timer does is every 100 milliseconds, it executes set interval. It updates the progress. This is update the progress right there. So I want it to be something like, something like update progress. That is the method. And I want it to happen every 100 milliseconds. How's that? Yeah. What's number 3 here? Write a set interval function that increases the count by 1 and displays the new count in the counter element every 300 milliseconds. Call clear interval to cancel when the interval cancel it when the count displays 5. Okay. All right. Well, okay, so we're going to set an interval, and and we're going to have to remember what the timer ID is. So when the counter reaches 5, we have to clear the interval timer. So I'm going to say timer ID equals, so oops, equals set. Here I'm going to set the interval, and every interval I'm going to update. I haven't defined this yet. I have to update the counter, and I'm going to do that every 300 milliseconds. In counter element every 300 milliseconds. Okay, so that's the timer. I got to write this function update counter, which I guess I don't need to remember anything about it. And what it's going to do is there's a counter someplace here, count, might as well increment that dude. And then I'm going to write it into the counter element here. Oh, okay, just like that. Do this, copy, paste. And then I got to check if count is equal to 5. I'm going to say greater than equal to 5, just in case something funny happens. Greater than equal to 5. Then we want to clear the interval of timer ID. That's how we use that clear interval thing. So this clears the interval timer. I think that's all I need. I better close the function here. So I write a set interval function. That increases the count by 1 and displays the new count in counter element every 300 milliseconds. Okay, so this sets a timer, and every 300 milliseconds, this thing executes, and it's going to increment the counter by 1. Oh, every 300 milliseconds, huh? All right, well, I'm going to just try this and see if it works. Oh, it works. All right, very good. Next is, I tell you what, I think I'm going to end this video, and it's been 30 minutes, and start a new one. So thanks for watching.